Oh, what a day. Just setting it in there with see if we can get that straight. I haven't got. I should buy one of these other flipping Halo ring things so I can set it in properly. I'm ultimately. I'm using one of these. See these. See these little coffee cups. I'm wedging my phone inside one of those. I should be proper organised, shouldn't I? Gents, how are we? We okay? Oh, who's been grafting today? Who's been doing a bit today? Because I have. I didn't want to be, but I've been working today. AJ Bubs, yeah, flipping heck, AJ. So, look, tell you the deal with me. I've sort of hurt my knee, so I'm hoping it's going to get better. The more and more people I speak to, the more people tell me it's not going to get better. So I don't know what to do. Right, so everyone keeps saying you have to go and have an operation. But in the meantime, right, I've been trying to rest my leg. I've been trying to let it fix itself. Been giving it a little break. And for the last week or so, what I've been trying to do is sort of let organise other plasterers to go and do some of the work for me. Now, 90% of the time, I get other lads to do things for me, other plasterers to come in to do things, and it all goes like clockwork. Because it's only, I'll take on another job and I'll sort of like send two men to go and do the other job, and it's sorted, it's done. But ultimately, I've been trying to sort things out now for about a week or two, trying to get them to look after my jobs. Oh my flipping God. It is like herding squirrels. It is like herding squirrels, trying to get other people, other plasterers. You can understand why customers get so stressed out with tradesmen, because I'm a tradesman, and the boys know that I ain't going to mess them around. I'm going to pay them. It's all going to be gold, and everything's going to be set up. The gear's going to be on the job for them. Everything. I mean, literally, they know there's no issues with the job. It'll all be sorted because I'm sorting it. I'm trying to get other plasterers to turn up and do jobs for me, just so I can rest my knee. I'm not asking. I'm literally just saying, listen, I don't even care about making money. At the minute, I'm just trying to just keep my customers happy. Jobs that I've booked in, I'm like, I'll pay you. Whatever. Just go and get this job done for me. The materials are there. The job's ready. Everything's sorted. There's no headaches. It's literally, the job is nice and straightforward. Cannot get tradesmen. Ultimately, that's what I'm learning. But I've been down this route before. In the past, I was going to try and take off and do site work. Now, I think ultimately what it is, I haven't got the personality for it, because I'm too I'm too nice until I lose my rag, and then I go the opposite way. So I don't think I'm cut out for managing lots of men. I mean, dealing with one bloke is all right because I can talk to him consistently. I can sort of change his mind and bend him to my way of thinking, and things seem to run smooth. But trying to do that with more men it's not possible. It takes too long. So I think ultimately, if you're going to run jobs and have other men working for you on a permanent basis, you've got to sort of be a little bit ruthless with them to be able to get them to toe the line. I mean, because ultimately what I'm finding is, the more nice you are, the more kind and giving you are, making sure they're looked after and they've got, they don't appreciate it. Literally, just take the piss. So, I'm not moaning to you, but that's where I'm at. I'm like, my knee's done in. I'm trying to get other lads to take things on for me and just look after jobs, just so the jobs are getting done on time for the customers, because I literally can't work that fast. And it's like, it's just a headache. So today, I've had to just go in. Fortunately, I've got a good mate. Fortunately, I've got one of my best mates is a plasterer, and I might just add as well, he's not just any plasterer. Lee, my mate, he's a bit older than me. He's got what? He's 50. He's got about 15 years on me, which isn't a lot really. But when I first started out in plastering, some of the advice he gave me, a lot of the stuff that you see in the videos that I'm sort of putting on YouTube, little tips and tricks, a lot of that he showed me years ago, bits like, we're not going right the way into the angles, taking a little bit and going in a bit, take a bit and going in rather than bladdering the angle full of plaster. Just little things like that he showed me when I was a young lad. Absolutely sterling bloke. Well, today he pulled me out the muck, so I said to him, Lee, I've got it. Literally, this lad this customer that I've done a job for just finished it today. It was meant to be done in like a week. It's been nearly a month. Fortunately, he's not in a rush, but even so, it really stresses me out the fact that I've told him I'll deliver and it's just took longer. And the lads that were meant to do the job have sort of been like, yeah, we'll be there, and I've heard that now for too long. So I'm not slating no one. Everyone's got a busy life, and everyone's got their own work schedule. So mine being added to it is ultimately, it's scuppers their plans. But I said to me mate today, Lee, I just need you to just come in. We just got to get this job finished. We need to just get this house finished for this lad. I just can't drag it on any longer, and it needs finishing today. So he's come in, helped me. I've been literally sweating with the pain of putting on 2 bags of finish today. All I've had to put on today is 2 bags. We did 2 bags each. It was done in a good gauge. It was, wasn't a lot to do, but also my leg's killing. And the mad thing as well, my mate Lee Murray, I call him, he's pulled his back out, right? So the pair of us have turned up to this job like a pair of old cripples. I'm limping along down the driveway, and Lee's coming down with his back sort of arched over. The poor customer just wants his job finishing. He must have been looking at us thinking, are you so capable to do this job? Tell you what, hey, getting old is not fun, is it? It's flipping not fun. Anyway, right, I'm just going to check in with you guys because I've got a load of flipping things from here. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to read these every comments in a minute, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Tomorrow is going to be a flipping great day. I'm working with an old boy tomorrow, and I'll tell you all about it. Just let's get through these comments quick. Who've we got here? Emmett, evening brother, nice one, Emmett. AJ Bubs. My elbow's shot. It's shot to bits. Flipping nothing worse, mate. Douglas, Life, evening Kurt. Matt from Norfolk signing in. Good to see you, Matt. Patrick Lawrence, evening Kurt. Quick question. If you have a window reveal that's blown and don't have the room to overboard the reveal, can you foam the cavity and then plaster over it? Would this lead to damp issues? No. It wouldn't lead to damp issues, but ultimately, if you've got a little bit of blown reveal, it's probably going to be easier to take the whole reveal off and put a cavity closure in, and then put a piece of plasterboard on top, or bond it and then skim it. So, for the sake of, if it's only a little bit and it's it's your own place and you've got all the time in the world, then I'll take the whole reveal off and put a cavity closure in. I mean, they're not expensive. That'd be the textbook way of doing it. Cavity closure. Board it and skim it. Yeah, you could foam it because foam is ultimately waterproof, but I don't know. You've seen me do things. I mean, I've showed you ways that I've got round things on my videos, and people are like, wow, that's amazing. Now, I know in, the technical side of things that process that I've done will work and it'll be fine. But I've also been called out by people saying, no, that's a cowboy way of doing it. But I know I would do this for my grandma. I'd do this in my house. It will be okay. So yeah, foaming something will be fine because ultimately the cavity, you got the outside skin of brick, the internal skin of brick, and the whole reason for the gap is to stop moisture penetrating. That's the whole reason for that cavity. When we used to use lime plaster, we'd have a solid 9-inch wall. Could use lime plaster because any penetrating moisture, the lime plaster would disperse it. Gypsum plaster cement-based plaster, unless it's got waterproof in it, holds moisture. So if you've got a cavity and you fill it with gypsum, drywall adhesive, bonding, anything like that, it'll draw the moisture in. You'll get damp spots. Filling it with expanding foam, that's basically waterproof. That will not transfer the moisture. So yes, it'd be fine. Will you get called a cowboy by the internet trolls? Yes, probably. But if you understand what the whole process is, it'll be fine. But if you wanted the textbook approach, if you wanted to know how to do it properly so that no one can call you out, in a sense, then take the whole reveal off, cavity closer, plasterboard, skim, done. Emmett, in the same boat, Kurt, mate, need outside done for me. Ask my missus is having our baby any day now, so I'm trying to knock it a few jobs up beforehand. Yeah, trying to get other lads to jump in with you. I mean, the thing with the other lads is, I'm not ultimately moaning, because I know what it's like when other plasterers ask me, and I'm busy. I'm trying to help them and do my stuff. It's chaotic. What ultimately pisses me off is, sorry for swearing, if I say to you, I'm coming Monday, right? If I promise you I'll be there Monday, then you would have to kill me to not get me there Monday. I will move heaven and hell to get there on Monday. So when someone makes a promise to you, I mean, I think as a man, as a bloke, all you've got is your word. All you've got is your word. So if you tell someone you do something and you don't do it, then I don't know, maybe everyone's not the same values as me, but that's just see it. If I told another man I'll be there, I'll be there. So when someone sort of lets you down, I mean, this only happened once or twice, and there was good reasons. There was reasons why people couldn't get to me job, but whether the reasons were good enough, I'm not even getting into it. Doesn't matter. I'm just venting on. I'm just getting stuff off my chest. The job's done. I've been paid, so it is what it is. It's all finished now. It's just I've had a flipping day from hell. You know, some points today I felt like crying, but evening, guys. Hope you're all well. 2 weeks away, and now back to the grind from tomorrow. Your next gym. Well, I hope you enjoy it, Jim. Don't feel like a grind, mate. It's good. It's all good fun. Vince kind of messed up my box room ceiling last week. It got away from me. I used PVA, and then a few days later, I found your videos. Vince, if you've sealed it well, the PVA, then you should be able to SBR over it and skim it with no problems. Just as long as the PVA you've done sound. Ultimately, the SBR will make sure that the new plaster sticks to the old plaster. What you don't want is a situation where the old plaster isn't adhered to the ceiling before. So as long as you've PVA'd it well, then it'll all stay up and you can re-skim it with some SBR. And SBR will, if you put the SBR on the day before, if you give it 24 hours, suction is gone. So that'll make your life a heck of a lot easier. AJ Bubs, take it easy, Kirk. I'm off at the Village Boozer to get rid of the gypsum thirst with a fair few stellars. Yeah, go and wash the dust down, mate. Go and wash the dust down. Neil Mortimer, it don't get any easier, bud. Bloody old age. Cheers, Neil. Making me feel better, mate. Evening, Kirk. Hope you're good, mate. Paul, yeah, spot on. Cheers, Paul. Patrick, cheers, Kirk. Dylan Hutchinson. Yes, they're from Donegal Island. Birds, could you put fibres in the first coat instead of using mesh on old walls? Bert, sounds a good plan. I've never actually tried using fibres in finish. Put it in screeds, but I've never actually tried it in finish. As long as they lay down flat and they didn't poke out, I can't see a problem with it. Don't know. See how you go, mate. Let me know. I don't know. Let's see how you get on. Let us know how it turns out. I can't see a problem with it as long as they lay down flat in the first coat. If they keep popping up because the finish isn't heavy enough to hold them down, then ultimately they'll pop out your second coat. But I don't know. Guy Gibson Kirk, knee problems. Due up and down repetition on crates or a hop up refer back to planking out for the ceiling. Yeah, well, I'm going to get to that in a minute because that's tomorrow's going to be a good day. Big Chris, hi buddy, how you doing? Got a customer who was bored of the chimney area himself, but has put the boards back to front. Can I still skim? Told him they need turn around. Any ideas? Cheers, fella Chris. Chris, give me 1 second. Jamie Johnson, who's this handsome fella? Right, so if any of you guys don't know, Jamie Johnson, right, this dude is one of the coolest dudes I know. Jamie Johnson is quite potentially the best window fitter I've ever met. So the firm that I do plastering for, the double glazing firm, Jamie's now, I mean, he's sort of gone down in ultimate ranking because he's one of the boys, but now he's took like a managerial role. So now he's sort of like, he's become a little Hitler. He's like, now he's sort of like working against the boys rather than with them. I'm only joking, Jamie. He's a top lad. Right, Big Chris. Yeah, the boards are on back to front. So do you know years ago they used to always say like, you put the brown side out on the boards and skim that side. I've skimmed over the brown side of boards in the past, and it's been fine, but it's pulled in a bit faster. Ultimately, I would recommend putting a little bit of PVA on it, just to be sure, or SBR, but maybe just put some PVA on, not half and half, just a weak little coat of PVA, just because they do pull in a bit faster on the brown side. So maybe just give it a little, quarter PVA, 3/4 water. Give a little coat over, and you'll have no issues. Just check the paper. Some boards, you'll notice a bit of bubbling on the brown side. So the white side will be perfect, but on the brown side, there might be a few little air pockets. If there's air pockets in the brown side, they could potentially cause you issues. So be aware of them. Just make sure if there is, maybe cut them out and SBR it, or I don't know. That's something to check for, though, mate. Peely. I use Speedy Set in my multi, and that has fibres in it, and it doesn't show through on the surface. So, all good, man, Kirk. Yeah. Speedy Set. Another product. I've never tried Speedy Set. The only accelerator and retarder that I've ever used is made by Easy Mix. They do the half time, the extra time. Speedy Set sort of sold where I am, but I'd give it a go. Ultimately, the extra time, I know that makes it, and he's a top bloke. He's a lovely fella, Mark Shepherd. So I only ever buy the stuff from him, and he doesn't put fibres in it. So I've never tried it, mate, but I'll take your word for it. Jorix Jim. What the fuck are you doing drinking water, letting the spreads down, Kirk? So, look, I'll be honest with you. I finished work before. I took my weight back to his. I ended up having 2 cans of Foster's whilst I was there. So I have had a beer. I've just come home. I had quick something to eat. And come here because I thought, right, I need to jump on quick. Have a little chat to you guys before I go and get some substantial food and maybe a proper drink before bed. Now, tomorrow, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm basically working with a legend. So, when my dad served his apprenticeship, he served his time for a building firm called Warrington's. Although he worked with my granddad and stuff, when he served his time with Warrington's. Warrington's put him with 2 different plasterers. First off, he was with a fella called Big Steve. So I've never met Big Steve. Like, I've just, he was from my dad's sort of childhood when my dad was like 16, 17. That's who my dad worked with, a fella called Big Steve. And then after a couple of years, Warrington's put my dad then from Big Steve. They put him with another fella called Titchy Ward. And this fella apparently was I never seen him work. I met him, but I never seen him work. He was an amazing plasterer. Little tiny fella, mad as a box of frogs, but shit hot at plastering. Used to love playing little practical jokes. Now, I met him when I was about 15, 14, 15. But then he sort of, he passed away. But I know my dad had a lot of respect for Titchy Ward. He spent a lot of time with my dad, mentoring him, not just teaching him about plastering, but about life. This is the thing when you have an apprentice. When you have an apprentice, you always become like a second dad, to the lad that you're teaching. You're shaping that fella's worldview. So I know my dad had a lot of respect for Titchy. Now, tomorrow, the fellow I'm working with is Titchy's son, who's the same age as my dad. So you got Titchy Ward, who taught me dad, and then he taught his own son, Gary. And me and Gary, we don't live far from each other. So although we're not he's my dad's age, from time to time, if I need a hand on a job, or if Gary needs a hand, because of the sort of connection that we've got, we'll help each other out. And I love working with Gary. Working with the older boys, it's a different ball game. It's the way Gary works is completely different to how I work. Now, Gary is a workaholic. He's mad as a box of frogs. He's fast. Everything he does is fast. But how can I put it? His mindset is more relaxed. I find this with a lot of older fellas. A lot of the older boys that are like in the 60s plus, they take more time to enjoy the job rather than trying to just blitz it, if that makes sense. They work hard, they're not lazy. But I enjoy working with Gary because we'll have a laugh, sort of. It's hard to explain. If I was working for my mate who's a builder, who's like a similar age to me, it's all about productivity. It's all about just getting that money, get the money, get the money. Whereas when I work with Gaz, he'll take time to, play little jokes and have a laugh and have a banter in work. So anyway, there's a pub near us that's been bought out by a fella from the same town, lovely fella, and he's quite a well-off fella. He owns a few different properties and buildings. And he's took over this pub, and ultimately he's turning it into like the most fanciest pub in Ellesmere Port. Bit by bit, he keeps adding extensions and making it better, and he's really doing a nice job of building his place up. And he's had it a few years now, but now he's moved into the upstairs of the pub, and all of the upstairs he's making it into big function rooms and stuff. And there's some massive ceilings up there, massive sections, and they're all hand-coved, and they have islands in the middle of them and stuff. So Gary can do all this by himself. He just wants me to give him a lift on the hand-cove ceilings, because one, they're a foot high, and two, they're flipping absolutely massive. So he's asked me if I'd jump in and give him a lift, which of course, I mean, I just look forward to working with these fellas. It's just a good laugh to go and work with them. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I'm actually I'm looking forward to it. I said to him, what time do you want me here, Gaz? I think he's going to say about 7:30. He's like, I'll have it all ready. This is another good thing about working for the old boys. They get everything ready. He's like, it'll all be beaded, it'll be rounded in, it'll be SBR'd, it'll be scrimmed up, it'll be all planked out. The joys. I haven't got enough planks to plank a living room ceiling out. He's getting this whole flipping ceiling planked out, scaffolding the lot. So tomorrow's going to be like a busman's holiday. It's just going to be a pleasure to go and do. So, yeah. Anyway, before I keep waffling, let's just see if what we've got here. Big Chris, who's buzzed the long way around. Customer's a carpenter and said that the same years ago you could use both sides, but told him that I prefer if he turns them around, would feel more confident with them right away. Right way, thanks for the advice, buddy. Oh, I'll tell you what, Chris. The fact that you're saying about turning them round, I'm assuming that they're just screwed on. It's a timber chimney breast. If that's the case, then yeah, just flip them round. Straight away in my mind, I was thinking that he stuck them on with adhesive, which you can't just flip them round because you've got to hack them off again. So, yeah, if you can just switch them round, if you can just unscrew them and flip them and screw them back on again, and just do that. It's not even worth messing around, does it? Take half an hour to do it, so that'd be the best way. Gary Smith, hello from Scotland. How's it going, Gary? I'll tell you something interesting, Gary. You have to tell me, because I have a few lads jump on from Ireland and Scotland. Is it the same for you as it is for us? Because whilst I'm talking now, is it? I mean, I mean this in the best possible way, mate. I'm just inquiring. Is it easy for you to understand me? Because if I listen to someone Scottish speaking as fast as how I talk, I flipping heck, I have to replay it and slow it down. Can you understand me clear as day, or is it hard for you to understand my accent? Because I must admit, mate, I love the Scottish accent. I'm a Scottish descendant. My surname's Johnstone. You know, I know the colour of my kilt. It's like blue and yellow. And Kirk means small church on a hill in Scottish. I mean, I literally Scottish descendancy, so I mean this in genuinely the nicest possible way. But can you understand how my accent, mate? Because I've been to Scotland and I flip it. It's like a different language for me. Just disappointed, as I said. What trowel do you use and where do you get it from, bro? So, trowel I use, mate, is at the minute I'm using a 14-inch by 4-inch carbon steel finishing trowel. So there's two different types of trowels that Marshalltown do. One's a concreting trowel and one is a carbon. One's a concreting trowel, one's a finishing trowel. Now, the difference being, the concreting, you can use either. A concreting trowel will just take longer to break in. It's made from a tougher steel because ultimately it's designed for smoothing concrete out every day rather than just gypsum plasters, which are a lot finer. So a concreting trowel is fine to use, just takes longer. You know, when you're looking on the when you're buying one and you're looking on the advert and it says concrete finishing trowel, it's fine. It'll just take a little bit longer to break in. 14-inch, not the biggest trowel. I've used the standard size trowel that I'd say most plasterers use is 16-inch. When I was on site, I used to use 16s. Then I started using 18-inch trowels, and eventually I was using a 22-inch trowel, which was a concreting trowel. That was great, you know, just wiping walls. It was massive. But ultimately, doing that for years and years, started getting really bad wrist pains where it didn't seem to affect me troweling, but if I tried to pick a pint up, it was like, I don't know what it was, the ligament to my wrist, it was just agony. So I started using a 14-inch trowel again, and I thought about it, and I thought the width of the trowel, the handles in the middle, when the trowel's like, 5 inches wide, you've got to apply more pressure. The leverage of the edge of the trowel, you know what I mean? If that's the bottom of the trowel, the leverage, press that. Whereas if you make that thinner, I can't even show you. You can imagine what I mean. The thinner the trowel, the less leverage. So I currently use a 14-inch by 4-inch, and it gives me it takes less pressure with my hand to apply the same amount of pressure per square inch. So ultimately, it's a lot easier on the wrist. That's why I use that trowel. It runs through hand coves easier. The problem with it is I can't load it up as much, which doesn't matter for skimming. I can still get a good stretch on a ceiling. But when it comes to putting K-rend on, and you don't get that far. You have to load your trowel round up to put a bit on the wall. And because my trowel's only 4 inches wide, I can't get as much K-rend on the trowel or monocouche rend or whatever you want, scrape rend or whatever. You know the deal. You know what I'm trying to say. You can't put as much on the trowel. Doesn't really bother me. My wrist never hurts. Now, I could potentially probably go back to a bigger trowel now, but I just think, what's the point? I do private work. I don't get paid for speed anymore, okay? The boys on site need 18-inch trowels, 20-inch trowels, flipping effing else, because they've got to go out the clappers. And fair play to them. Hardest grafters. Boys that work on site, plasterers on building sites are the hardest workers known to man. I don't know anyone that works harder in the UK. I mean, there must be slaves in other countries that probably work harder. But ultimately in the UK, there ain't no one works harder than a site plasterer. That's a fact. If you don't believe me, go to a building site and watch the boys on price. It'll make you tired watching them, okay? Trust me. I don't work on site anymore, so I don't need to go like the clappers. So a little 14-inch by 4-inch trowel, that'll do me. I'm paid for doing a lovely job and being a great customer service guy, making the customers feel nice and at ease. That's how I make my money. I'm not flipping pulling my plums out every day on site anymore, so it's just the right size for me. Let's just see where we're up to here. Paul Gallagher, evening Kirk. I'm from just outside Glasgow, mate, and I can understand you no bother. You sound Scouse to me, even though I know you're not. Yeah, do you know what? This is madness because everywhere I go in the world, everyone calls me a Scouser. Now, sorry, Scousers, right? But ultimately, Liverpool is about, I don't know, it's about 10 miles away from me. I'm closer to Chester. I'm more of a Cestrian than a Scouser. Like, literally, Chester's 7 miles that way, Liverpool's 10 miles that way, and there's a river between us, the River Mersey. I mean, we've got tunnels. We tunnelled into the place. but I'm closer to Chester. I'm actually closer to Wales than I am to Liverpool. No, I'm not actually. No, Wales is a little bit further. But anyway, Scousers, right? God love them. They call us woolly-backs. Ellesmere Port, they call us woolly-backs. But ultimately, I am a descendant of Liverpool in a sense. My dad was born in Anfield. My grandparents on my dad's side were born in Liverpool. And Ellesmere Port, from what I've been told, was like an overflow, like an overspill from Liverpool. Ellesmere Port, when it was first built, was mainly populated by Liverpudlians that come over to work at the... If you don't know about Ellesmere Port, we're strategically placed. We've got the oil refinery, Stanlow. So if you live, like, central of the country, we supply your petrol. We've got Octel. We supply most of your chemicals, your fertilisers made in Ellesmere Port, your cars. If you drive a Vauxhall motor, that's made here. Like, we're strategically placed in the centre of the country because we've got Manchester, Liverpool. Like, we're right central. Was a big manufacturing town. All your corrugated metal used to be made here years ago. And ultimately, Ellesmere Port was populated by Scousers. But now it's not. Now we're just Portites. So I might sound like a Scouser, but Scousers would quite happily tell you I'm a woolly-back to them. So I know that because most of my family are still in Liverpool. And that's all they call me. We've got here Douglas Life. Used VPI GF Gris one coat renner today. When I floated it, some of the larger aggregate came to the surface and scored the finish with swirls. Any idea why? Have you ever found this? Yeah, used VPI GF Gris one coat render. Now Douglas Life. The only thing I've used from VPI is their thin coat system. I've used VPI's thin coat system through Phil Gill in Leeds, and it was okay. I must admit, I like VPI products. In fact, I'm going to touch on something with you here. There's something going on at the minute, and I'll just tell you a little bit about it. And if you've got anything to add, you might be able to add to my knowledge and understanding of this whole situation a bit more. So let me just tell you quickly, VPI, I use their products, and we weren't happy with the colour, and I phoned VPI, and them boys at VPI were all over it. You phone a rep from VPI, and they said they'll phone you back, and they phone you back straight back. Say I'll phone you back in 10 minutes, and they phone you back in 5. I can't fault them. The customer service is second to none with VPI. That's what I've found up to now. VPI have been fantastic. They've got a massive colour range, even with the scraped render. Although I haven't used it, I've got the colour chart booklet, and I've never seen a range so extensive as what VPI have got. And up to now, I can't fault them, but I've never used their scraped render. Now, saying that, a lot of the VPI boys, from what I'm told, from speaking to the reps, moved to VPI from Parex. Now, maybe some of you fellas know about this or not, I don't know, but if you can help me out, I'd appreciate it. Parex have been bought out by Sika, and from what I can understand, Sika have moved the manufacturing from France to Scotland. Now, I used their product because a customer that I had, he'd already had his garage done in Parex, and he wanted this house to match it, so I had to go and use the same product. So I had to travel miles away. When I got the stuff, got the Parex that's now made by Sika, used it, exactly the same process as what I used for K-Rend and Weber. You know, put it all on, we rule it off of the derby, I go over the thing, I give it a good hard trowel to make sure there's no air bubbles. Now, what I did notice with this stuff, I didn't like it that much because as I'm trying to flatten it in, it seems to set on the outside first, like forms of skin. So when you're trying to flatten it in a bit more of the trowel, closing it in, it seems to drag because underneath wet and the surface sets, so it drags off. So that was a bit of a pain with the stuff. But anyway, ultimately went all over the thing. It was lovely and flat. Scraped the job the same day, and it looked mint. The work looked mint. But I did notice it was very, very, very easy to scrape. I mean, it was like the stuff was like, it was set, but it was like falling off the wall. You know, it was like, you know, K-Rend, when you scrape it, this, you know, your little float or your eye-bar, it's like hard work. Even the same day, it's like you've got to put a bit of effort into it. This stuff, it's like I could have just rubbed the surface of it and it would have just scraped. Do you know what I mean? It didn't take much scraping. So anyway, scraped it, and the job looked mint. You know, it was finished, perfect, got paid, not a problem. The customer's actually a friend of mine, so he's sound as well. 9 months down the line, he's phoned me, and there's little holes starting to appear in his render. Now, to anyone that knows about scraped render, these look like the little bullet holes that you get when you've got an air pocket. You know, if you've got a little air bubble in K-Rend and you scrape it, you get a little hole. Okay, so I know how to deal with that. So I know how to make them not appear by closing the stuff in. And by doing the same day scrape, if you do discover a little hole, you can push gear back into it. There's ways of getting around it. There wasn't none of that with this stuff. And when I go back to it now, I'm rubbing the wall, and even now, just rubbing it, it's like, it's dusty. So, that was a long time ago. Since then, been back on the phone to Sika, who now own Parex. The customer's been on the phone to them. It's took them over a year to come out and deal with me, to come and see the product, because like, there's something, this isn't right. They've been out, they've had a look, and they've basically admitted, yeah, we had some teething problems in Scotland when we moved the manufacturing. We were using different materials, and apparently, according to other sources, they've moved production back to France. Now, in the meantime, they've sent out some stuff to seal the walls with. Now, I haven't used it yet, but ultimately, I don't mind going and doing the job. I've done it for a friend of mine. Sod the money. The job's got to be right, so I'll do whatever it takes to put the job right for him. But ultimately, I'm thinking this isn't my fault. This is down to Sika, stroke Parex, to help out with. Now they've said, well, we've provided the product. I'm like, well, yeah, but I've got to apply it for free. and it's not my fault. And their little get out of jail free card, which they all have, is are you an approved flipping applicator? Well, no. I mean, do you have to be? Well, ultimately, if you want paying out, well, yes. But my argument is that's like saying, you can buy a car from BMW and it's got warranty, but if you're not an approved BMW driver, then if your car breaks down, then you're not fucking getting paid. So that doesn't make sense to me. But ultimately, yeah, we're having problems with their product. Now, I don't mind fixing it, but I want them to pay me to fix it. But regardless of that, have any of you boys had issues with their product? Because if you have, I'd appreciate if you reach out and just tell me your experience. I'm not worried about going and fixing the job and putting it right. That's not an issue. It's just I want to put a pressure on them to make me, to pay me for doing it for them. So that if there's any more sort of info you guys can give me, if you know anything about it, then it just helps my case a little bit more, Ultimately, I've told them, listen, gentlemen, I've got the potential to tell customers about your product. So if you give me a bad service, I could potentially give you a very bad review online. Not that I'm threatening them, but I'm just letting them know, if your product's shit and you don't help me out, then I can potentially let people know how things have gone down. Or it'd be a wonderful opportunity for me to say, Seekers took over, we had a few teething problems, and this company helped us out, and it was fantastic. That'd be a lovely thing for me to be able to say, there's a few teething problems, but the guys were right on the case. They provided the materials to fix it, and they provided the support, and they helped us, and they paid us, and fantastic company. Wouldn't it be a shame if that wasn't what I could say? So we'll see how that goes. But if you guys have got any information, then I'd appreciate letting me know. Now, where have we? What have we got here now? South Oxfordshire plastering. Evening, my old mate. Is that board finished dust in your hair, or are you starting to go grey? No, it's just dust, mate. It literally is dust as well. Michael Dix. When's the next plastering float giveaway, pal? Nothing in the pipeline yet, mate. But ultimately, I love doing the little giveaways. But I don't be whole channels because when I sort of set this thing up, I have to promote it a little bit to make sure that I get paid enough for doing it. If I did a whisk giveaway, but it was getting close to the date, and the cost of the whisk wasn't quite covered. So, I had to keep pushing it a little bit to make sure I got enough money in. We ended up a bit more, and there was enough for the speed skim and stuff. But ultimately, I don't want you guys to get sick of me trying to sell something to you, like selling tickets. So I will do more giveaways potentially in the future, but I want you to sort of enjoy my channel and not feel like you're just being sold all the time, I hope that makes sense to you, mate, Big Chris, yeah, mate, you screwed them to the chimney breast, so should be easy fixing to spin them around for me. So Chris is on about the plasterboards on the chimney breast, brown side to white side. Peely on rendering, I've always used sand cement, but the process is long. Never used Weber OCR, but it seems a game changer, as can scratch and top coat the same day. So I'll be giving OCR a butchers. OCR is a great product, mate. Yeah, you'll enjoy using that. I've actually used OCR quite a bit for myself. So, David Gillette, good evening. Joe Glabus, yeah, shit batch, obviously. I'm thinking that myself, mate. I'm thinking that. The guys that come out were thinking that because they've seen the job. I mean, I've got literally hundreds of scrape render jobs that I've done in the area that I could take them round to show them. And I told them this, look, I can take you to see all my work. I know how to scrape a render. I know how to make it, no ghost lines. And yeah, you can imagine, can't you? So I know it's not me. So I ultimately know it's their product, but I'm not an approved applicator, am I? So they still sell it to the public. Anyone can buy it, but if you're not approved, then you get no support as of yet. we'll see. I've sent the message in. I've sent him a nice voicemail explaining my concerns and how I feel about the situation. I haven't heard nothing back as of yet. Michael Dix Kirk, is there any difference between a stainless steel or carbon steel trowel when finishing on a plastered wall? No, I prefer the feel of carbon steel, but people say that carbon steel needs more maintenance. You've got to stop it from rusting. The ultimate fact of the matter is, I personally don't do anything for my carbon steel trowel. I'll hang it up on the van on a Friday, put it on the rack. Monday, when I pick it up, the surface of the bottom of the trowel will have a little bit of surface rust on it. And I will literally just give it a little rub on a wall, on a bit of plasterboard, on the floor, whatever. I'll just give it a little rub over. Or if it's not that much, I'll just start using it. And by the time I've put the second coat on, all the rust's gone. Some fellas like to soak it in oil and put it in oily rags and all sorts to stop it rusting. But ultimately, the rust just wipes off. So I personally don't see any difference in it. I prefer to use carbon steel. They seem to break in faster as well. But if you're going to get in a panic about having a little bit of surface rust from time to time, then potentially go the stainless steel route. But ultimately, I'm telling you, from the bottom of my heart, mate, I would quite happily. I put my trowel here at Christmas time, and it's left for a couple of weeks, and I go back, and it'll have a bit of rust on the bottom of it. I don't do anything. I don't put any oil on it. Nothing. I go straight back into work. I give literally the edge a little rub and start using it. And by the end of the day, it's got a nice patina on it again, So, and that's all I do for it. So I'd quite happily get stainless carbon steel all day long. Where are we up to here? Jimmy's Building Services, bit of a surprise. Good evening, all. Ben Mert, you chop wood. Okay. John Haddison, Kirk, how's the knee? Speaking from experience, make sure you get an ACL reconstruction on your knee. It takes months to get better, but if you don't, your knee will just keep giving way. Yeah, it's sort of where I'm at, John, to be honest with you. I'm sort of on board with the fact that I'm probably going to have to go and have an operation. I'm thinking of probably just going private if it's not too expensive, because I don't really fancy waiting longer than I need to, because it's been over a month now and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Still collapses. So I'm still working. I just have to have my legs stuck out. I'm like walking around like Captain Hook. Eric C. just popped in, Kirk, in the pub having a few, so won't stay long. Sorry. No, enjoy, Eric. Enjoy. Michael Dix, I've got a stainless steel Marshalltown Gold. I use to have a carbon steel Marshalltown. I'm tempted to go backlow. I have both. I like. Do you know what? Ultimately, I switched from carbon to stainless steel just for the hell of it, just for a change. You've been doing it like 20 plus years. You get a bit bored of using the. Get a bit bored, don't you? You fancy switching things around a little bit. When all this sponging your finish. I tried it. Did I have a problem beforehand? No, I just wanted to just switch things up a little bit and just do something different, break the monotony of just skimming the same way every day. So I'm always open to trying new things, new tools and stuff. I've got a carbon steel now. Potentially my next trial I'll get stainless. Not for any benefits, just for the fact, just for the sole purpose of just keeping it fresh and interesting and changing things, just to keep me from getting as bored, skimming, using the same stuff. Guys, look, I'm going to clock off now. It's I've been on an hour, but whilst I've got yous, you may notice that I've recently ventured onto TikTok. Right, I'm staying on YouTube, by the way, but my kids keep telling me, Dad, you should be on TikTok. Dad, you should be on TikTok. So I've started a little TikTok account and I've put a few videos on there. But you boys ain't missing nothing on here. Ultimately, all I do is any video I put on here, take little snippets of it and make a TikTok video out of it. So, but if you're on TikTok, then give us a follow. Same name on the Trowel. You know, head over there, give us a follow, and I'll see you in the comments if you're on TikTok. If you're not, I mean, I don't really understand how the thing works yet. I'm going to figure it out. It's not really my forte, but I'm just having a little stab at it because apparently I can reach loads more people, and ultimately they'll come over to my channel on YouTube and I'll get more subscribers. We'll see how that goes. I'm just testing the water, so just letting you know what I'm doing anyway. In case you see me on there and you're wondering what's going on, that's the reason why. My kids are on my case. Michael Dix, I'll buy yours on a giveaway. Yeah. So, do you know what, mate? I've got flipping loads of trowels. I've got tons of them. Ultimately, I just like keeping them. I do actually give them away. I've given them to other plasterers, and I haven't raffled a trowel. I bought a new trowel, the last one. I bought a new one and broke it in, but yeah, we could potentially raffle some of the old trowels off. I feel like I'm doing you a disservice then because some of them are losing the shape a little bit, so we'll have to see. Jimmy's Building Services liked your video on blending in with water on unpainted plaster. Yes, Jimmy, I'm glad you noticed the unpainted plaster part of it. You can blend into all, I mean, you probably know this, Jimmy, I'm not teaching you to suck eggs. You can blend into old plaster as long as it's not painted. If it's painted, it's got to be sealed with something. You've got to put SPR or PVA on. But if the plaster's bare and you soak it enough, you can blend in easier to old plaster without any sealer. Much to the surprise of Kieran and his disapproval, because he always gets told off. He always gets a bit of a bollocking for not putting enough sealer on. So when I was showing him I could patch him with no sealer, he sort of felt like he'd been told off loads of times for no reason. So, Michael Dix, my dad's 24 years old. It's like a triangle now. Oh, his trowels flipping. Jimmy, I don't know, mate. So it's a trick like a nick. Yeah, fair dues. Right, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. It's been emotional. A few little interesting insights into flipping my life for you. Plasterers letting me down. Looking forward to going. I'm going to make a video tomorrow, actually. I don't know how Gary feels about jumping online, but we'll see if he'll get on camera and introduce himself. We'll see how he feels. Don't know. You never know, do you? People are dead confident until you put a camera in the face and then they don't like it. So we'll see how he feels about it. But regardless of that, fellas, have a good one. Hope you've had a good weekend. Hope you've got a good week coming up and you earn loads of money as well. Cheers, boys. Take it easy. Good night, God bless.